Hey guys, so this is really a continuation from my last video. Remember I cautioned targets of organized stalking to be careful because now without the civil rights, department operating, we don't have civil rights anymore. So any kind of discrimination is now allowed. And targets of this type of attack are constantly falsely accused of something. So you got people pointing their finger at you. You've got to be careful. Okay, you flip out in public, that draws attention to you, okay, because no one's going to understand what is happening. Okay, a lot of these attacks, that they're covert. Someone might come by and whisper your name, or whisper a name of your family member, something personal in your life, and it looks like they did nothing, and you get angry and you look like the aggressor. You've got to be careful. You don't want to look like you're the one who just snapped in public. You don't want to give everyone else around you the chance to point their finger at you. Because also people are, when it comes to the immigrants and, the attack on, the people as average citizens in certain states are being offered money. I don't know if it was $1,000 or $10,000 or something. They were offered money to turn people in. And this is going to be, if someone just doesn't like you, they can point your finger at you. And now, because you don't have your civil rights, you don't necessarily have a say in anything. You don't have the right to remain silent. You don't have the right to a trial. You don't have the right to speak publicly, right? To explain who you are, what you are, to tell your side, right? You don't have the right to a defense anymore, unfortunately, because all of that fell under the Civil Rights Act, right? And we don't have that anymore, at least for now, right? Because that has been suspended for now. You've got to be careful. Don't, and I mean, your target people are going to falsely accuse you of anything all the time. Carry your documents with you, because right now there have already been American citizens, right, people born here, who have been caught up in the immigration raids and taken to wherever they're being taken. And let me be very clear, there's no way for them to deport all of these people. They can't. So they're taking them to these I'm going to call them what they are, they're camps, right? They're going to be internment camps or something of that nature, right? Or to prisons, because prison labor still exists, right? So they're used as pretty much slaves. And anybody can be taken up that way. If you fall into a scapegoat group, right? If you're in the LGBTQ plus community, especially if you're transgender, if you're an activist, you got to be careful now, because someone could point their finger at you and boom, you're gone. And let me be very clear, right? Back in the 1930s, 1940s, people were, it wasn't initially the Jewish people who were sent to the camps for being Jewish. It was initially other groups. It was people from the LGBTQ plus community. And yes, they did exist back then. There was a part of a library on transgender healthcare that was burned by the Nazis. People who were, sick and disabled, people who were homeless, okay, people who were homeless were taken to the camps. People who were deemed who were deemed undesirable, right, for the Nazi agenda, were taken to the camps. People who were called mentally ill, whether they were or not. Mental illness has always been used as a character attack, not just to discredit people, but to also institutionalize them. And in the case of Nazi Germany, to take them to the camps. And the German citizens, for their part, they were being told that these were rehabilitation centers where people were going to get medical care and to learn job skills and things like that. It was being presented as something positive, when in reality, the medical care were horrific experiments that were being run on the victims in the camps. And of course, the work skills, they were being worked to death. The people didn't find out until very brave journalists snuck cameras in and recorded what was actually happening in the piles up of the corpses and showed that to the world. Only then did the world understand what was happening in those camps. Now they're being more careful. Now they hide the bodies. Just like they're getting rid of the maternal death panels in certain states, because they don't want to show the massive increase in maternal deaths due to the abortion bans that now are causing doctors to be threatened with prosecution, even for helping a woman with a miscarriage that was incomplete. Right? There are women bleeding out in the hospitals and in the bathrooms and the parking lots from miscarriages now. So yeah, here's the point. The German people were lied to about what was happening to the people who were taken away. And what we're seeing right now is a repeat of history. Okay, so when you hear about people being put in these camps or these these centers or whatever they're called, wellness centers, I don't know, whatever they're going to be called, right? To get medical help, and there's going to be psychiatrists there, they're being told, and the Republicans have already said that mental help, there's going to be psychiatrists and doctors and rehabilitation, and understand what's actually happening there. Okay, back in Nazi Germany, the people really didn't know, but nowadays you understand these things. You have no excuse. You know what's happening there, because I promise you, one day this will end. It will. And the people will say you knew, because you did. There's no excuse anymore. Don't turn on your neighbors. Don't point your finger. Don't go along with this shit. Anyway, this video is getting long, and I don't want to make this long. I want to make this as short as possible so people will listen. Just understand, history is repeating itself. Targets of this stalking campaign have to be extra careful now. It is getting worse. Okay, it is getting a lot worse. And the last thing you need is any more attention on you, because they're going to try to provoke you in public now to even more than they already have been. Right? Especially if you're in a marginalized group, if you're in one of the target groups. Right? If you're be careful. And to the people, again, to the people watching this who are outside of the United States, understand what is happening here. Okay, when you hear, what they use is the conservatives, they use flowery, words to beautifully describe horrific things. They make good evil and evil good. They make horrific things sound good. Understand, they say they're trying to help people when they're killing them. So, look back. You need to know your history in order to understand what is happening now. And this is why they want to hide history. They want to hide books and ban books and burn books. They don't want people to know what happened before. And not just what happened before, but how it happened, what led up to it. Because if people understood that, they would see it happening again. Right? And they don't want you to see it happening again. Yeah, just be careful. And to those outside of the U.S., as always, save these videos. And don't believe the lies you hear from the conservatives. They're going to lie about their victims, their targets, their scapegoats. They're going to say horrible things. They're lying. And don't believe it when they accuse people of mental illness and then say that they're going to take them away and institutionalize them. They've already said that. Those people are probably not mentally ill, or they might have been driven crazy by these types of stalking campaigns or other things. Know what's happening. He's not your savior. No Republican is your savior at this point.